And the last project that I'll be talking about is a course that I'm teaching this semester, which does not have a study abroad component, but nevertheless is focused on cross-cultural learning and specifically through film. So this is a class I inherited that has been taught before. It's called East Asian Cultures Through Film, and it focuses on film of China and Japan primarily, also including Taiwan and Hong Kong, as a way to understand East Asian culture. That's the premise for the class. So the way that I designed the class this semester was thinking about ways to integrate digital media, film, and social media, and the blog that our program has set up as a new way to have the students engage with film and to have them actually present their work. So similar to what Jim did, I replaced a traditional research paper with 2 web-based assignments. And so I'm going to be talking about those 2 web-based assignments today. Just to give you a little bit of sense of how the class works, we meet twice a week, and each week is organized around one film. So on the Tuesday, I lecture on the history and the context of that film. The students watch the film, and all of the films that we watched, I had a technology assistant who was basically a student TA who helped me to locate online streaming versions of the film. So all the films were actually accessible completely on the internet. So students went home on Tuesday night, they watched the film. On Thursday when we came back, they had to submit electronically a personal reflection on the film, relating it to the readings. They had another reading due on Thursday, and then we spent Thursdays discussing the films. And so I integrated the 2 digital projects at 2 points in the semester. The first one was after 1 month. And the second one is actually, we're working on it right now. So the first project, the first unit of the class was devoted to looking at how East Asian culture has been represented in Hollywood cinema. And so we did 3 different films that represented, for example, the Yellow Peril as an ideological discourse about East Asia, Orientalism, and then the Cold War, and really thinking critically about those theoretical ways of understanding discourses about East Asia. Then at the end of that unit, I broke the students up into groups of 5 or 6, and just to let you know, there's a total of 52 students in the class. They're divided into 2 sections of 26 each, so we meet in sections of 26. So I selected 3 films that depict some aspect of China and 3 films that depict some aspect of Japan that are all very contemporary films, so 1990s to the 2000s. And each group actually was assigned one of these films, and they worked together where they would watch the film, they would discuss it as a group, and then they would collaboratively produce a blog in which they analyzed that film through the concepts that we had worked on so far in that unit. And so here's the website that is explaining the project, and then I'll show you an example of one of the student works that came out of it. And so in the assignment for this project, the students were required to do one section of the blog that was collaborative, where they actually wrote an introduction that was co-authored ostensibly by all the members of the group. And then each student would then have a certain 8 to 900 words where they would do their own analysis. And like in Jim's project, they were required to incorporate a short video clip, images, and then text, and have those 3 different types of media work together to actually produce an analysis. And so one of the things I was thinking about with this project is I want the students to take away practical skills in terms of using new media. So in a similar way to when we teach research papers, we're also teaching students how to write, how to collect their ideas. In this project, I wanted students to learn how to use WordPress technology, how to take a screenshot, for example, from a scene in a film that they wanted to analyze, and then to take a short video clip from scenes of the film. And so taking the video clip was actually technologically pretty difficult, if you imagine cutting a video clip from a DVD or an online film. And so I had 2 in-class tutorials of about 30 minutes each, in which Mike Bloom, who's the technology assistant for the humanities in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, worked with the students step by step to learn how to use these different technological processes. And then they also had to include a link in the blog. So they were able to master these particular skills, which hopefully would help them in the future if they wanted to create blogs of their own. If they were applying to jobs and they had to say, yes, I know how to use WordPress, I was hoping that the students would also have those practical types of learning through the process. So you can see here, here's one group's project. They have their co-written section at the top, and then each individual analysis had to include 2 photos and a link to the video clip that they actually produced. So here you can see a student comparing Lost in Translation to the film Sayonara, et cetera. And one of the pieces of feedback that the students had was that they liked being able to integrate the visual elements with the text, and then that was an interesting way to explain their ideas. And also, they said that having the blog be public gave them a larger sense of responsibility and a feeling of how important it was to make sure that it was good, because other people would be able to see it. And so they liked having that added pressure to produce something that they would actually want to be public, as opposed to just turning it into their professor. And so these were some of the teaching objectives and the preparation that we did. So I had them in the very first week of the semester do a short bio post where they had to post their personal bio. That's where they first had to learn how to embed a photo, how to embed a link, and how to actually produce a blog post with text. I also produced a tips worksheet, which actually went through step by step. When they were at home working on the project, if they forgot how to take a clip, for example, it would actually remind them those step-by-step processes of how to do it. So these are examples of the bios that the students created as the first task to help them get comfortable with this new media. And here's the blog that I just showed you. And now I'm going to show you the student feedback that I collected by means of a survey at the end of this first project. So you can see the questions that I posed, and the two different colors represent the two sections. So did you have fun with the project? Do you prefer this to a traditional paper? Do you prefer this to a midterm? Did you actually create your own images, or did you just find them on the web? Did you create your own videos or find them? Did you learn some type of new technology? Did you discuss the film with others in your group? One of the learning objectives was actually collaborative work. Did you watch the film with others in your group? Did you read blog posts by other students? Did you enjoy each other's presentations? So I had each group present on their project. And so that was some of the feedback that I was able to get from the students. And so the second project, as I said, is something that's ongoing right now. And so as we went on in the class, the entire rest of the semester was devoted to watching films that are actually from East Asia, analyzing them in the same way. And so for the final project, what the students are doing right now is that through our partnership with Beijing Normal University, I've paired up each of the students with an undergraduate student in China who's actually an English major. And so each student has a partner that they are required to have 3 conversations with over the course of about 3 weeks, 3-hour-long conversations through Skype. So in the first conversation, they are supposed to get to know each other. I give them a list of different topics that they should address. One of the main things that they do is they select a theme that they're interested in, and they select one film that's Chinese and one film that's American that addresses that theme that they will then watch together. Then they watch the films, then they have their second conversation where they discuss the films. Then they have a third conversation in which they decide how they want to present their experience on the website. And they create a blog that actually reflects on what they've learned in this process. And so right now the students are in the process where they're watching the films that they selected. And so I make the students, similar to what Jim was talking about, do progressive assignments. They have to turn in conversation notes after each conversation. They are required to show a screenshot of them talking to their partner. And at the end, they'll actually present their projects to the class in the same way that they did for Project 1. So we'll see how it turns out, and all of this will actually also be on the website publicly if you're interested in seeing the results of it. And some of the issues that the students are having right now is things like the availability of Skype to their partners, and then actually whether Skype drops out in the middle of a conversation. They're realizing the significance of the 12-hour time difference and how difficult that is to coordinate. And so one of the things I'm hoping the students will get out of this aspect of the assignment is thinking about in the future, many corporations do work internationally, and I want them to have actually experienced that process so that they know what it's like when they're going into those professional situations in the future. They'll have some experience with it. And so now I just wanted to remind you of some of the future projects that we're planning on doing. And so one is that we're planning to invite a film studies faculty from Beijing Normal University. And this person that we have in mind is actually one of the experts in Chinese film studies and also in documentary production in China. And so if he's able to come, hopefully in the spring of next year, we will be having him work with different groups on campus who are interested in having students do film-based or documentary projects related to China. And he'll be here as a resource teaching classes, but then also working with faculty on different projects. This summer, I'm leading students to Beijing for 2 months, and they'll be working on visual ethnography research and producing projects that will also be posted on the website. One of the things we hope to do next year is to actually have students who are from China who are studying here at William & Mary, either in the School of Education or in the undergrad, have a way to reflect on the changes that they've experienced transitioning from one education system to the other. And again, we wanted to use the web-based platform as a way to present that material and also to allow students to reflect their experiences in a more digitally rich kind of way. And so we haven't formulated the exact outline for how that project will work yet, but it's something we hope to do in the fall. There's also the Foreign Language Association of Virginia meets in Williamsburg every year, and that meeting is in October. So we plan to present some of the work that we've been doing at that meeting. And we'll be continuously working on new projects. So we actually hope that people at the School of Education like Jim will have ideas of projects you'd like to do to integrate with this funding platform and website that we have. So now I'd like to invite Yupeng to talk about the resources page on the website.
Thank you.